Hello everybody, my name is Ian Kirkpatrick. I'm an author, idiot, and loin streamer, and today we're going to do a part one of two parts for everything I drew during quarter two of this year, because I drew so much between April and June, 109 different images, and I only put 54 in one video, and before I sped it up, it was like 2 hours and 15 minutes long. So there are going to be two videos that kind of go over everything that I drew, so hopefully you like the character rambling, because that is what is going to happen. Character rambling and story time with like what's going on, how characters were created, who they are, whatever, so you can get to know more of kind of what I'm doing, and obviously also what I'm doing adjacently with Montana, because a lot of what is being drawn in the next couple of months, last couple of months, has been a lot of our collaborative material. But before we get started, number one, if you enjoy what I do here on the channel, please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Number two, if you would like to be featured on the channel, check out the links down in the description below. Number one way to be featured is through lmao, which is the monthly prompt writing contest, where I give you a prompt, you write a short story or a fragment, submit it, and the first Monday video of the month is reading some of those prompts and basking in the creativity of this community. The second way is if you're an indie author and you have a book out or a book coming out, spread the love, share your first chapter and your cover, and I'll share it here on the channel, hopefully helping more readers find your work, because there are always readers out there looking for the kind of work that you do. The hardest part is getting it seen, and hopefully I can help with that. And then number three, if you would like to check out any of my books, there are links down in the description below, or you can get them at anywhere you get books, including the library if you request, or, you know, Overdrive. And be prepared for Bodymore 3 coming out soon. I should be collecting ARC readers the end of this month, because that marks 3 months till the book is released. So if you are interested in being an ARC reader for Bodymore 3, you need to read the first two books to really get what's going on in the third book, because they all build on each other. But other than that, just hang out and wait for, I guess, the forum to see if you're interested in an ARC edition. Right now we're waiting on the cover. And right now we're just waiting on the cover. So that said, well, and I should do one more edit before, you know, it goes into the hands of ARC readers to find more things that I missed. But with that said, let's just go into the video, because there are going to be a lot of drawings. I hope you enjoy this, because I have both enjoyed and dreaded doing the arts, the digital art, the last couple of months, but it's getting better. So I mean, compare these. I imagine it's getting better. Some days it really doesn't feel like it, but compare these to what I did starting back in December and the last 3 months. So this video is going to cover April through half of May, and then the next video will cover the rest of May through June, and that'll probably come out in a couple of weeks. The first image is actually, I was doing little Yakuza kid emojis for all of the main kids, which we got Katsuo, Michi, Shigemi, and then Kaede, and I got the 3 of them done in March, but I hadn't actually gotten to Kaede until the beginning of April. So then this was just his chance to do it. And by the time I had gotten to Kaede, I was making all of them have the little bean mouth face. So there was some of that going on. You know, as you do. And he is one of Monty's characters. He is very stoic. A very big guy. I love this character a lot, but you know, that can be said about like all of Monty's characters. They're so good. They're gonna be he's gonna be in the Yakuza series eventually, and we're done with that. This was actually the first portrait that I did in April. My first images every month are always like really rough, and I don't know why, but they are. But I was doing this Shigemi picture. Oh, we were talking about the festival at this time too. This is like near the end of the Masato arc, where Shigemi goes to the summer festival with Katsuo and Kaede, and Michi is going with some of the girls from the cabaret club. And then there is like chaos goes off at the summer festival, and so then Michi is told that she needs to go. And so then Kaede runs into action to go and find where Katsuo and Shigemi are, because they're hanging out. And Shigemi is running away because Katsuo and Kaede and her are all ganged up on by thugs. And so she makes a run for it. She runs into Masato, and that's when Masato kind of... she's also having an asthma attack, and so she's suffocating. And Masato actually takes the chance to finish off suffocating her, so she passes out so that he can run off with her, because this is actually to kidnap her, because she has been the target the whole time with what happened where Katsuo was targeted with the murder accusation. It was to get him out of the way so that Masato could get to Shigemi, because Shigemi's father killed Masato's father, and this has been a long-running revenge scheme. That's what it was, because when Nishiki was younger, and he was going through his dealio with his pride, and not feeling like he was good enough, and he was getting into a lot of fights, he confronted a lot of people and ended up killing Masato's dad. And before, apologizing to Kiryu, and Masato's father was unfortunately just a victim of that, and that left Masato, who was like 9 or 10 at the time, without a father, with a lot of anger. And so he was like, I'm going to get back at that man for taking what was important to me. I'm going to take what is important to him from him, and I'm going to destroy him. And that was Shigemi. And so that all culminates at the summer festival when Masato kidnaps her, and then she wakes up in a warehouse or wherever they're going to wake up. We haven't totally written out like how that scene breaks out, but he uses Shigemi's phone to call Nishiki and is going to FaceTime it as he kills Shigemi. And that's pretty much how that goes. This was just a picture that I actually had the idea for back in December of last year. But I just didn't get to it because I like to doodle down the ideas I have for composition or characters before I forget them. And so I wanted to draw these two together, and it's Katsuo and Shigemi when they're younger, obviously going to school. And they hold hands walking to school. Katsuo already got his blonde hair. He had his blonde hair by like 8 or 9 years old, where he paid somebody to go into the store and bring him out hair dye so that he could dye his hair during lunch. And then he just came back from school with blonde hair. Actually, I think the principal called his parents when he came back and he had blonde hair, because he was a child who already looked like a delinquent. And then I went back and redid it as black just in case he was too young for that. This was me just wanting to practice doing profiles, because profile images are so hard. But you know what? Everything is so hard. I keep saying, this is so difficult. That is so difficult. And then everything that I do is just, it's all difficult. It's, especially when you suck like I do. But at the time of drawing this, I remember being fairly proud with how it turned out, especially her hair. I was leveling up in my hair coloring abilities at the time of this, even if it's kind of an awkward shape for the side of a face. But we love Michi, where Michi stands here. So, I'm getting on to like, let's do this. It's right here next to me, you know, why freaking not? So, what's going on with my creative stuff and where these guys come in is all of these Yakuza characters have actually come from, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, have come from playing the Yakuza games and then coming up with our own characters, Monty and I, for storylines and for characters. And then we've come up with a complete storyline with like at least 3 or 4 books worth of things for the kids. And then we got stuff for Hitomi and Naoki, who are the predecessors. And then we're going to write that out, and you guys are going to have some beautiful love stories and so much love. This is Sam's character. He's my best friend. He's my cover artist for Bodymore and, well, for all of my novels. He's done all of my covers. We go back to like 2007, 2008. We met on Gaia Online. Go ahead and laugh at me if you want, but we are BFFs, and that is his Final Fantasy character, Umedi. Oh my gosh, this was me practicing profiles more. Profiles are so hard. They look so bad. I cannot do them. but saying I cannot do them pretends that I can do any profile. And of course, obviously, it's Katsuo and Shigemi because they are so cute and flirty. And why is his head so big? I remember struggling so hard with his giant bulbous head. Well, now it's looking better. And you got the Majima nose in there, so that's looking better. The hair is a mess, though. I would like to say that looking at this, I'm pretty sure my hair has gotten slightly better, slightly more natural in the last couple of weeks. I don't want to say months, because this is what, like mid-April? And we're only just getting into July. So it depends on the day, but sometimes the hair is like so good when I do it that I go, how did I do that? I don't know. A lot of the time my hair is more mid okay-ish, but I have definitely gotten better at doing hair than since I did this, where I don't think the color is helping. Sometimes the color helps the line art, I have noticed. And I try to keep that in mind when I'm working on things. I hope you like these characters because I love them. So if you're ever like in the video game streams and then you see up here in the corner where I got like little Katsuo next to me, or the, you know, that's who it is. So also, one of the things that I like to do to practice how I draw characters is chibis, because there's a lot less time investment and you can kind of sort of figure out how you're going to be drawing their hair and their physical design. So a lot of the time when I'm creating either a new character or I'm just getting better at drawing a character, I will draw them as chibis so that I can just practice doing them more and suck a lot less. Oh my gosh, what was that? Also a lot of doodling. Oh, we've got Shigemi going on. And I think at this point, and also with the Yakuza kids, is I like to draw them, all four of them at once, because they all come together. Sometimes it's as a pair, because sometimes I'm only doing one or the other. At the moment, I kind of rarely ever do just one of them, because across all of them, including Hitomi and Naoki, is they all are just a group. And so it's very difficult for me to only do like one. I think you'll also see this later. I haven't done all of the guys yet. I have, I think, an image from May where I drew all of the girls together. And I'm supposed to be drawing all the guys together, but that's a little harder because then I have to draw Nishiki's hair, and Nishiki's hair is difficult for me. They also all have color schemes that go with them, if you haven't noticed. Obviously, Shigemi is purple, Katsuo is blue, Michi is yellow, and green worked really well for Kaede, even though he just wears a black all of the time. But, you know, there are just certain characters that also make you smile just by looking at them, and I feel like Michi is one of those characters because she just has such a positive attitude. She has been a blessing to discover as a character. I actually discovered her back in December. I don't have a saved video of this picture, unfortunately, so you just get a look at Kaede and Michi together, but she is so in love with that man. It is not even funny how much she adores him. And he thought that he would never amount to anything, and he gets this absolute queen. Anyway... She's still got the earlier stages of her hair, too, where it's more obviously, like, shaped on that right side. Okay, so this is actually an image, a concept image that I drew for a commission that I got from Anissa, and I will put the image on screen here, hopefully, if I have it on this computer. This was just a comparison of their reunion, of Shigemi and Katsuo's reunion, and, like, my drawing abilities between December and April, because I really wanted to redraw their reunion, and again, I don't have the video of that, but it does show the progression, and also, Katsuo's hair definitely got longer, and also we got actual defined image ideas for what they look like by this point, because back in December, Shigemi didn't have a defined appearance. So this is my character, Tyke, and he's from A Cursed Circus, back on Smack Jeeves, when Smack Jeeves was a thing. There was basically role-playing, but it was collaborating through drawing comics. And so that's where Tyke came from, is I had Ali Sharin and then Tyke. And Tyke was a little organ grinder monkey boy that would bring people to the Cursed Circus by organ grinding, and then they would, you know, the circus would steal their souls. And that was him. I've had him since probably 2010, 2011. And I don't know what to do with him, but I definitely love him. He's a cute little baby. I remember drawing this specifically, Joey, or a version, an attempt at Joey. Her hair is ridiculous because she got emo hair, and I'm not entirely sure how to draw her style of hair yet. But I remember drawing the chibi, trying to draw an example for Monty because she was trying to draw Joey, and so then that's how that came about. That was actually a concept image for visuals. Oh my gosh, both of those were concept images for visuals in Bodymore 3 and Bodymore 0. And now we got the chibi Katsuo. Look, see, those happened so fast. I'm sorry. It was hard to look at. But you had the guy standing between the buildings, which looks like Baltimore's kind of alleyways or neighborhoods. And he had his red glove, and that will be somebody who you will be introduced in. Oh, look, it's Michi again. That'll be somebody that you're introduced to in Bodymore 3 and Bodymore 0. His name is Tacitus Levin. And he is a continual force. That is one of the reasons why Ralph stays inside of the bar and does not leave the bar. And you really get a better idea as to why Ralph can't leave the bar and what the risks are through Bodymore 3 and Bodymore 0. Because you see him take some damage. And then... You can see my notes right there. This was me trying out trying to do a different way of coloring. So it's kind of a mess. But going back to Tacitus, you see the kind of risk that Ralph is under when he leaves the bar in Bodymore 3, and you see more exactly what Tacitus is doing in Bodymore 0 because you're in Ralph's head and you're seeing them interact for the first time. You'll get more information on Tacitus through the Numina series by Monty or M.M. Morris, and pretty much a lot more is going on in Baltimore than is just dead ghosts. And that information will all be filled out via Numina series. It's more personal. It's brought down to a more personal level through Bodymore, where you see it in these interactive levels with people who don't know what's going on. However, Numina will bring on somebody that does know what's going on, or a couple of people that know what's going on. This was obviously Kaede. Also, if you kind of watch the way that I draw, if I put a name on it, it's usually because I'm drawing it ahead of time and I want to remember like why and who I was going to draw. And so this was my attempt at drawing a somewhat profile face, drawing his back because I wanted to get an idea of his back tattoos and work with Monty on sort of figuring out back tattoo-ish. Because if you don't know, he is Yakuza. And so he got his tattoos. This actually turned out a lot better than I was expecting it to at the time. His shape came out more natural. He's got poofy cake. Look at that cake, bro. I did try to draw his hair. I struggled because he's supposedly going to have something of an undercut when his hair grows back, I think is what Monty said. And I have not tried to draw undercuts enough. I was going to do the bandana version and his hair growing back version, and then I gave up. Like the professional that I am. I was not ready for that. So instead, we got this beauty. I don't know why green always looks so good with his colors, but it does, and I'm grateful that it always... There's just adjusting that booty. Don't take that sound to mean anything weird. Then I was also trying to figure out what to put behind him. And it ended up being... Coming at a much later date, I did the backgrounds, and also redid his tattoo at a certain point, because I figured out a better way to do them. After working on Katsuo, who comes way later. I think he's going to be in the part 2. But the back of him says tree, because his name is actually means maple tree. I think it's strong maple tree, his first and last name. And so then he's got tree. And then by the time we get to Katsuo, his says beast, because Katsuo is a tiger. Now we got tens from Numina. And it was just me trying to variate so that I could draw some more men, but I was struggling. I have a hard time right now doing men's faces because I practiced more doing women's faces, so I'm getting better at doing like women, but I'm not doing so good at men. And eventually, I will practice drawing men more. Every so often, I dive back into attempting a man face, and then I end up drawing something like this, and I hate myself for it. Because I'm like, why is it so bad? But I love Tens. He is a berserker character. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see what Monty is doing with Numina, with the first Numina Starbook, with how she is building it out in Florida. And her characters, because I already love her characters, and I love her heart and the way that she draws. Draws, writes. I love the way that she draws too, but she's got a very specific style and the way that she creates characters that I've had such a pleasure of getting to know over the time that I've gotten to talk to her. We got Michi again. One of the good things about having so many original characters is that it makes it really easy to practice drawing because you can just default on drawing certain characters. And at the time, back in April, I was definitely defaulting to drawing Michi because her design was fairly straightforward, and especially with the way that her hair was, so it was a lot easier to just practice. And then I remember I was practicing a specific style, I'm still trying to get eyes. Like, every time I draw eyes, they're kind of different, and I can never remember how to draw them. I also continually struggle with drawing noses, where I shouldn't, but I do. And I remember at this point, we were trying to figure out, when we were discussing characters, this is about April 17th. And so Michi had only been in existence for maybe a couple of weeks. I mean, seriously in existence, compared to like how she was just a walk-on character back in December and then disappeared until the end of March, where she came in a little bit bigger, and then she got this. And so then we're working on the Cabaret arc, where at some point during the Cabaret arc, Michi learns that her grandparents have been lying to her entire life about how her parents died. And it's because her grandfather was a detective for the Osaka police and had been investigating the Yakuza in the area, and he was told to back off, and his son and daughter-in-law were killed in a car bomb, and he backed off and retired, and his entire thing was just keeping Michi safe. And he just said that the parents died in an accident. He didn't say that it had anything to do with him. This was more practicing drawing Shigemi because I was struggling so hard with her hair. And then 2, I want to practice expressions because I realized that I'm not very good at expressions. I was just doing busts. I mean, I'm still just doing busts. But I wanted to practice at doing expressions and getting better at that. And I think I drew this picture like 3 or 4 different times before I kind of got the face to be right. I think it was this one. It might have been another one. Because I have some references for just like character expression sheets, and then I continually draw them super cartoony to match the character sheet instead of trying to do it in the style that I have been getting used to and then extrapolating the expression into the style that I've been drawing. And I've also gotten into the habit of minimalizing clothing as possible because clothing is hard to draw and it's easier if I just focus on one thing at a time, and clothing folds are difficult. You know, considering what I was drawing earlier, I can see where my shading has gotten better. Why is her underbust purple? Do I fix that? Thank goodness. I was like, tell me that I fixed that. I don't think that's still there, but tell me that I fixed it. My hair has definitely, I think my hair has gotten better. Oh yeah, that was, I was working on the necklace. I remember drawing this one. She doesn't make me think of Fran Drescher. I don't even, actually, there was a story behind why I chose to try and draw these, and I don't remember what it was anymore. But I was super proud of how it had turned out at first with the sketch. I thought the sketch looked really good for what I was used to drawing at the time. And then by the time I started coloring it, I started hating it. But I feel like that's the life cycle of art, is you're excited, you're struggling, it's starting to turn out, it feels good, and then it starts falling off again. So, but here are the girls looking all pretty for getting pretty for their men. I also had to do a bunch of different things for Shigemi's hair because I couldn't figure out what to do with it. Anyway, what else do we got going on? So other than drawing obsessively, some story time. I had been working on Bodymore 3 edits and Bodymore 0 Draft 1, which at this point in time, as I'm recording this video, Bodymore Draft 1 is done. It stopped at around 110,000 words, so the next draft, I'm doing a revision right now, the next draft will probably be around 130,000, I can imagine, because I got a lot of stuff to add to different chapters. I got some chapters to completely rewrite, like when Ralph goes to Mordom for the first time and he meets Alincia, and Alincia is the person that actually, well, the being, I should say, the being that turns him into a psychic, a medium. Psychics are a completely different thing in this universe. But there's going to be this really beautiful scene that, hello, if somebody is looking to make a movie, I mean, I don't mean to sell myself, but also I'm selling myself. If you want a movie with interesting ideas and cool visuals, like Bodymore 0 is, I mean, Bodymore in general has the setup to be beautiful. I'm so excited for it. But this one scene specifically in Bodymore 0 that I have to write, that I'm excited to write, but also I'm like, it's going to be a struggle until I can rewrite it, is when Ralph goes to Mordom and goes to meet Alincia, and he actually goes to Chapel Valley, which is a location from Monty's book series. And I think is the 3rd book in her series, a very important location in her series. And there will be a chapel, obviously, there. You've got the purple sky because you're in Mordom. And this place is just, it's an old style church, and it's surrounded by moonflowers. And so this is where he goes in to accept the duty of becoming a medium, and he's becoming a medium in order to bring Casey back to life because Casey has obviously died. I mean, I don't think it's a secret. If you've read book 2, where Casey is introduced, you know that Casey is dead. You just don't know why Casey is dead, but Joey immediately clocks him as a ghost, and Ralph has got the heart on his neck, so you know that they're probably related in some way. I mean, sure, maybe someone else is holding Casey's heart, but let's be real. Nobody cares about Casey enough to carry his heart except for Ralph. But so then you have this scene where Ralph goes into this old style church and goes up to the podium and takes the candle. And the candle is his assuming of the responsibility that he is being offered as the medium and the servitude that he is pledging himself to. And then he walks out of the church holding the candle, and in the Moonflowers, he sees Laramie, who is an important figure in the Numina series. And you won't get answers for Laramie or who that is laying in the flowers until the Numina series. But it will be a beautiful scene. So I remember doing this image in the middle of April, I think it was around April 20th, and this is going to start like a series of Michi pictures because I was like, oh, I really like the line art on this. I think the expression on this picture actually turned out really well at the time. I was excited for how it looked. I was excited how Michi looked because she is so cute. And so I wanted to do more. But you will see progressive degeneration in like how good Michi looks very quickly. This is like the only one that looked good. The next ones are all cringe. Oh my gosh, to the point that I don't think I shared them anywhere. I don't think I even shared them with Monty privately because they just look so bad. Maybe I did, but I was not happy. Anyway, I also drew this around the time that I went to a mystery dinner where it's like you go to the dinner and somebody dies and then you're spending the evening as a group trying to determine who the killer is. Because I remember wanting to draw on this in the car, but I actually can't do too much visually when in the car because I get motion sickness. So plus it's just not conducive when you're trying to draw that you're moving. I don't know. I'm just not very good at it. See, look, we're already worse off. We're already worse up. Ugh. You would think that just drawing the same thing again and again, it would get better each time because you're getting the hang of like how somebody looks or what they need. Oh my gosh, she's got frying pan head. Oh my gosh, yeah, either it's always flat or misshapen, or she's got like helmet head. Michi ends up with helmet head a lot because it's that big hair, man. She also likes to wear sundresses. So there's that. See, look, her hair is a little flat. The top of her head is kind of flat. Oh my gosh, Michi. Your face is getting better, but not, still not. I think your hair needs to be bigger. The way she also typically is different than the others. See, that's still better. Is that she's got a longer face. I think my other characters have kind of shorter faces. The ones that I draw, that is. Because I know that Billy has a shorter face. I know that Marcella has a shorter face. And I know that Shigemi has a shorter face. Anyway, Bodymore. It was a slow quarter. Like, I have been both productive and not productive at the same time. Same time, it feels like you hit roadblocks of just productivity. Where this entire year has felt like a struggle. I had wanted to work on Boom Shakalaka Boom this year and to have, you know, that out by July. I had wanted to work on this at the end of last year, but I felt like it was important to just jump into Bodymore 0 and start working on that while the iron was hot. And then I can work on Boom Shakalaka next so that we can get that squared away. And then start working on Yakuza. Though I've started working on the Westies as well. And I'm actually cataloging the ideas that we get for the Westies as we go so that when we get closer to having a plot line, we can just start working on it and hopefully not have the Westies out in like forever years. Because I would rather. What we have kind of determined is that it's very likely the Westies will possibly be in the same universe as Numina Star, because Numina, its prequel is in the 1800s with some Western stylings going on. So with the Westies, which those characters you'll meet in the next video, some of those characters you'll meet in the next video, they were created at the end of June. So you'll meet those characters later. Except for Marcella, who you'll have to wait to meet, because she only got created like 3 or 4 days ago. From when I'm recording this video. So she got created at the beginning of July. Oh my gosh, look at that droopy face. Michi, no! This is what happens when you draw too much, and then you're like, bro, I am obsessive compulsively drawing right now. I need to stop. One of the things that's also actually a problem is I like to draw when I'm listening to books. And so then while I'm working through the ALA books and taking notes, I am also drawing. And so then I get a lot more drawing done because I like to do things while I listen. And it's really hard for me to just listen to a book. So then I just end up drawing even when I'm like, I should stop. I feel like I need a break so that my muscles can recuperate, my brain can recuperate, and I can just do better, and then I suffer. And that's how we got to Michi doing that. Now this, I got this idea. I remember very distinctly getting this idea while I was taking the shower of the day. And it was just Shigemi looking freaking cool, blowing bubble gum. I had an image very much in my head for an image that I have seen, that I've been using and have, or how do I want to say this? For an image that I've used as a character back in the days of role-playing. His name was Hitomi, and that's actually where I stole my newer Hitomi's name from. It was like... But then I started coloring her, and then I was like, ooh, I like the idea of doing it monochromatic, and then, ooh, I like the idea of doing covers for all of them where they're all monochromatic. So this started the trend for me of doing all of our Yakuza baby characters with these kind of stylized punky covers, and we'll get to those in a second. This was also a redraw of a pose that I did for a for a Smack Jeeves thing a while ago. I was going through my folder of old art, and this pose came up among many of them. And so then I was like, well, I will just draw Michi. I don't know why, but I decided that was what I was going to draw. And at the time, I felt like it turned out pretty well for where my abilities lay. Would probably, honestly, if I tried it again now, it would likely be fairly different, but I have no idea how. I say fairly different. That's what's so interesting about redrawing art. Redrawing images, because it depends on the day where your skills are at. It depends on... I don't know how much I've really done that's all that different from what I did here, but I would assume... I know this was the end of April, because as we got closer to the end of April, my goal was to get all of the Punky covers done, and I did like 2 of those in a day to make sure to get them done. And this is how I've ended up drawing way too many images in the last 3 months, and possibly damaging my own creativity in doing so, because I think I don't know about anyone else. I think there's a point when you're like, I have overloaded myself on obsessively compulsively wanting to do this, where my quality is suffering and I should do something else, but I don't really want to. So this Katsuo started the trend of doing all 4 of them in this little poppy style as well. And this happened while playing Yakuza 2. We saw Daigo with his puffy white jacket. And every time we saw Daigo, I was like, ooh, I want to draw Katsuo in a puffy white jacket. And I didn't do it until I finally did do it. And I don't know what made me want to do it in this style, but this style felt the most appropriate for doing this. And then I loved it so much that I wanted to do all 4 of them in this style. So before the end of the quarter, you will see all 4 of them in that. No, yeah. I think Kaede is not going to be until the next video, though, because he was last. He is often the last one that I draw, unfortunately. I don't know why. It's either him or it's Katsuo. Or it's Michi. Wow, that's like 3 out of 4 of them are almost always last. Anyway. I did struggle with figuring out what to do with her hair. I don't know how interesting this actually is, and watching over and over and over again me draw the same characters, and I don't really have... There's not a story behind all of them. It's kind of just impulsive with creativity. And then constantly needing to come up with something to draw because I'm listening to a book. Now, at this point in time, speaking of books, I will eventually be moving on to books that... Oh yeah, I was trying to do orange because I was like, how is yellow even going to work? I don't know about yellow as her color for this, because yellow is hard to work with. Why did I choose yellow to make her monochromatic? But then it's eventually started working out much better than red or orange. So there's that. The yellow actually looks really good at the end. But speaking of books, so I've started doing this year, the banned books list. Reading all of the books between 2021 and 2022 on the banned books list by the American Library Association to see what the heck is in those books. May or may not read more years prior to just go, okay, let's see what's going on here and get references. But at this point, I only have 4 more books to read. They're all on the 2022 list, and then number 1 is 2021 and 2022. Look, there's me trying to do his undercut again and failing. It's okay. He looks a badass either way. I love Kaede. Okay, I love all of these guys. Got his nose is looking pretty good. That was trying to figure out where to make him look more punky. Got his tree name, which is also cute because Michi's name is Michimori, which means forest path. And his is maple, strong maple with Kaede Tagaki. Which also, those are not pot leaves in the background. Okay, those are maple leaves because his name means maple. Just so you know. But cute. And I know I kept that bandana for a while before changing it back to a solid color, because the solid color just looked better. And that was him looking at Michi and then stopped looking at Michi. Am I gonna make his lips juicier? His lips look like they need to be a little juicier. Come on, Coyote. Oh yeah, that's when I figured out how to do a nicer eyebrow. I was so happy with that eyebrow, my guys. Ooh. Oh yeah, so if we go back to the Shigemi, I didn't mention that before either. So Shigemi's background, because with Kaede you have the maple leaf. With Michi, the frick was in Michi's background? You had something that related to her. And then in Shigemi's background, you had the scales, because her family symbol is a koi fish. And then in Katsuo's background, you have the tiger stripes, because his tattoo is tiger stripes. Oh my gosh, how am I gonna ever find Michi? Okay, that's Kaede. Here's Michi. Sunflowers. Why am I so dumb? She did have sunflowers. Oh my gosh. But I did spend some time trying to figure out what I would put in Katsuo's background. I knew his tongue. I knew I wanted that tongue. That tongue was also part of a reference image that I had that I was like, I can see that picture in my head. That is the face that I want to have him do. I love his character so much. He is so much fun. His nose, he somehow always turns up with having a unique nose. That's one of the things that has always worked out for him. Another thing about Katsuo is because his father cross-dresses, he also cross-dresses. And so he's got his drag persona, Katsuna. We got the little Michi stylized block going on here, where you can't... One of her things is you can't frown when looking at a pretty girl in a yellow dress. It's just impossible. She likes to make people smile. She likes to keep people happy and make them feel happy and loved and cared for. And that's why she is so good at being a hostess. She wants to make everybody feel special. We're back on the Michi train, by the way. I think we're getting to the end of April. You'll know when we've hit May because I drew Hala's character from, well, one of Hala's characters, from her book Tower of Dogs, named Sparrow. And that was my first image of May. But that's just lovesick Michi looking at her man. She's so head over heels for him. One of the things that I really love about the Yakuza characters, which I cannot say enough about any of them, is their stories about love. They're not love stories, but they're stories of love, where their families are involved. You've got the familial family between their actual parents. The story between like Hitomi and Naoki and their friendship and how their friendship helped each other. The story of Shigemi and Michi becoming friends, especially after Shigemi was afraid that Michi was going to be dating Katsuo when they met up with each other, and she was intimidated because of the way that Michi looks. Michi having all of these experiences with women that prejudged her, and then having a hard time because she was also sexualized at a young age. A younger age. Well, I mean, she was 16, but you know. And now we're in May. Getting on from that, while we can talk about Sparrow and Hala's book series, the Idon series, with Tower of Dogs, we've got Den of Sparrows, and then the third is Graves of Brothers is the third book. That comes out also in October, so check that out if you are looking. It is a YA fantasy series. If you like anime, it is, for me, it came off with a very anime-ish vibe, where the story starts out with Sparrow and Roman. Well, it starts out with, they're together, but it starts out with Roman, her older brother, doing a battle for this tower so that he can make it his home base. Then some danger comes to town where Sparrow and Rome are, and so they're going to flee and jump on a train. It just so happens that they get attacked and they get separated. Sparrow goes forward into this town, the city, and then Rome is left behind. And the majority of the story is them trying to get back together, but it's mostly Sparrow is waiting for her brother to catch up, and her brother is trying to find a way to get into Idon. And Sparrow has been brought into this upper class family kind of as a servant, kind of as a maiden, handmaiden to the main daughter of that family. At the end of the book, well, you have to get to the end of the book to see where it's at. This character is another one that belongs to Sam. His name is Bellamy. He is kind of a shapeshifter, Catboy Witch. Not the shapeshifter turning into anything animal-wise. He just changes his appearance. And he's in a supernatural story with his demon from hell torturer boyfriend who likes to keep plants. That's how that is. Okay, so this is the one of Shigemi that I had to draw so many times because her head kept being too big. She kept being too cartoony. She was not how I wanted her to look. And I just could not make her look the way I wanted her to look. It wasn't, I was looking at a reference and I kept drawing this too cartoony reference instead of what I actually wanted. Which I think eventually, I think this got... No. Yeah, sometimes you just suck. I took days to get anywhere with this picture of Shigemi. You know those days when everything is just... Everything you draw is just not proportional to the way that you want to draw. Going and oh yeah, that's also where you'll see the koi because it goes with the fish in her background. She always got a koi necklace, which is a koi necklace that Katsuo got her when they were kids and they went to a festival together. And it was the first festival that they went to after Shigemi had gotten out of the hospital and was cleared enough to go and be active outside of her house as well, because Shigemi was a sickly child and her parents not only were loving, but obviously they were going to be very protective because she was their one and only daughter and they had to struggle very, very hard in order to have her. And so then you can imagine their only daughter be having these health issues where she had to be isolated for I think it was a couple of weeks. And Katsuo couldn't even see her, but he would send letters and he tried to pick flowers once. Well, a couple of times. But he tried to pick flowers that he wasn't allowed to give her because they were allergens. So then he also, oh, that was it. He also picked flowers and accidentally stuck them in his pocket to then go to the hospital and then crushed them. So then the next time he picked flowers outside of the hospital to give her, and that's when he couldn't give them to her because they were allergens. So then he sent like little paper petals inside of one of his letters to her. And they've always just been the best of friends. Getting back to Michi drawing, because I was struggling with the drawing, and so at the moment I was defaulting to drawing Michi in order to practice and hopefully suck less. But you know, it doesn't really happen. She's also in the red dress, which the first time I drew her in the red dress was that image earlier in this video. And she definitely wears that for clients. And her clientele really, really likes it. I can see the proportions on this aren't terrible. My nose is still struggling though. Oh my gosh. I can also see where some of my things have changed. Let me know if you draw, what order do you go in for things? Because more recently, and I think it's just because I'm impatient and I'm trying to do character design, but I have been sketching and then kind of coloring the flats over, just scribbling to get an idea of what the image is going to look like, and then I do the inking, and then I start cleaning up and refining. And I like to do them sort of as the layers of skin, and then clothing, and then eyes, and then hair. This one was also a struggle. I remember very specifically the reference image I was using for this to just try and draw-ish. I was in another creative bundle. I think it's a lot easier to, I don't know. As a writer and as somebody learning to draw, I can feel it when I'm struggling to write because the words don't want to come out and I don't want to sit down and I don't want to do the work. But I can see it when I'm struggling to draw because everything I do just sucks. And then also I have that same restlessness where I just constantly switch between images because I don't know what to draw and I don't like what I'm drawing. Oh my gosh. What was up with, why was that eyeball so high? What is wrong with me? This is an image of Katsuo. I was practicing a drawing style again with that, especially the eyes, as I wanted to do those eyes. And when I say Katsuo, I actually mean Katsuna, because it's one of... This is his drag persona, and he definitely has the little dot under his eye after Shigemi, because Shigemi has the beauty mark. And then the blonde hair is both his mother and his father, because his father has the blonde hair. And the orange just goes with how he looks. Actually, I very much love Katsuna's stylings. He looks like such a little bitch, though. Oh, and the coat. He wears the coat a lot to cover his back tattoos because he wears a backless dress. Because what is he but showing off that stuff? Oh my gosh. I know that this one was me wanting to practice doing Michi at, well, get better at doing profiles again, because I really don't draw profiles all that often, and they are so hard. And I know that this one, I want to say it took me a couple of days, but I think I just left and came back and left and came back. And did it over time because I was not really sure what I was doing. And I wasn't sure how to feel about it at the time of working on it. But one of the things that has helped me is that getting away from stuff, oh no, coloring it slightly, doing the flats, just to kind of get an idea of what it might look like when it's more filled out, has helped me be able to finish stuff and have more hope in it. Look, I'm absolutely not running from backgrounds. That was not me not wanting to draw that background. Oh, finally, look, we have somebody that's not Yakuza related, again, when it's an OC, because other than, you know, somebody else's OC. We're drawing KC from Bodymore. He is absolute fire. He would say an absolute legend. Can't kill a fucking legend. That's probably one of my favorite lines that has come out of working on Bodymore Zero and getting to know them better. Casey is such an arrogant bastard, but it is the kind that is unbelievably charming. You know he just getting whatever he wants. This man. Bedroom eyes, the sweet sultry voice, the muscles, the confidence. Nobody ever gonna take him down. The only people, okay, he doesn't get whatever he wants because, like, Rose, who is the bassist for his band, not a fan. Not a fan at all. As you can see, these are my man drawing skills. Oh my gosh. Hitomi! So I hadn't drawn at this point, because I was just consecutively drawing whatever I felt like. But I realized that I hadn't drawn Hitomi since January. And so I wanted to see what it looked like if I drew her again now that I had been drawing consistently for 4 or 5 months. And this is what happened with her. The giant spatula in the background. That doesn't turn into meaning anything, by the way. I kind of am dumb and try to think of things. Her nose is so cute. Okay, I actually really like her nose in this specific image. But that was has been one of my favorite things too. Is I haven't completely redrawn some of the characters that I did draw 6 months ago. Like, that's another thing. That in the next bunch, I think in June, you'll see that I drew Naoki, and I hadn't drawn Naoki since December, I think, when I had initially started drawing. And so I've been wanting to draw characters again that I initially drew, and then had been so busy drawing other things that I hadn't gone back to draw them, to kind of compare the growth in my art. And having those characters that you can draw and then redraw and see how your stuff has changed while knowing it's the same character helps a lot in specifically seeing the growth in your art. And so I was really excited with the way, other than how Hitomi's hair I struggled with so much. I actually don't hate it looking like this right now, but I remember when I was working on that, I really hated it. And I was like, I cannot get her hair to look right, and I had to keep going back to the drawing board. And you're wondering why her hair is blonde. It's because she dyed it in middle school. I think it was middle school, late middle school, so that her teachers would start looking at her more as a delinquent when she was skipping school and not turning in assignments and getting failing grades, because she would rather be looked at as a delinquent choosing to not participate than as a failure. But what was actually happening at the time was that her mother had just died of illness in the hospital, and so she was helping her father out more at work, which was their family business. And so she was not sleeping very well. She was going late to school. She was falling asleep in school from staying up late to do homework after the business closed. And she was skipping school in order to help out at the house/business as her dad went off and gambled money, trying to get enough money to cover the bills for the hospital and everything else. And he had to lay off any of his staff because they couldn't afford the staff anymore, which is why it fell onto Hitomi. Here is the brother image to the back image of Kaede that I drew in April. I know my months. And as you can see, like, as we go further, very, very often, most of these images are drawn with sister image in mind. Look at that booty. And this was also to get a good idea of what his back looked like, because even though I'd had Katsuo since the beginning of the year, even since parts of last year, I didn't have a clear idea of what his tattoos really looked like. And so then I wanted to draw this to get a better idea so that when I draw him from the front, I know more what I'm looking at. And it has been helpful because I have a couple of images now that have needed to show his tattoos. And so he's got the sakura, he's got some snakes, he's got the tiger. And apparently I did draw him in April or May to complete the foursome. If you want to see the four of them together, if you head over to my Instagram, you should see a post that has all four of them together. Oh my gosh, we are in May, right? The beginning of May was a very emotional time for me. There was some turmoil going on. There was some creative turmoil. My emotions were wrecked for a couple of days. I felt like I was dying. I felt like I was going to give up on things. Because sometimes just, there's not a lot. I know, this is so boring, am I right? It's just looking at my drawings and hearing about vague drama that I don't really want to say anything. Because it's just emotional stuff. And so I draw. This was also just a drawing that I did the sketches for back in December that I never actually got around to drawing. And then I tried to draw, and then I tried to draw again. And I'm glad that I waited to draw it because my ability to draw was better when I got around to drawing it this time around. Do I shrink his head? Please tell me that I shrink his head a little bit, because his head is kind of large. Katsuo, you know, just going to the ball game with his dad, using a bat. Mildly editorial, wearing his dad's construction shirt. So I guess on that note, I think I want to say, because at the beginning of this month, not the beginning of this month, at the beginning of May, I really didn't feel like doing anything anymore. And I knew that I still had to. Like, my writing is going slower than I wish that it would. I haven't, as of doing this video now, I didn't do any writing yesterday, and I haven't done any writing today, which is pretty normal. I kind of get busy doing other things on the weekend, and I get a lot more of my writing done during the week. So that just goes to show, figure out the schedule that works for you and what you want to do. That's why I put a word goal by the end of the month instead of having like a daily goal, because then I know if I miss days, I can make it up on other days. And then by the end of the month, I've still hit the goal that I need in order to complete my overall goal and have the story that I'm trying to tell by a certain date. And then I usually give myself multiple days. Multiple goals. So if it's like my golden goal is to have a draft of Body More Zero done by the end of this month, which is probably not going to happen. I should say that would be my golden goal. My secondary goal would be to have a new draft of Body More Zero done by the end of next month, which should be fairly possible. I'm about 33,000 words into it, and so as long as it depends on how fast I work. If I do 50 to 60,000 words this month and then 50 to 60,000 words next month, then I should be getting into revision 2, and I already know that I'm going to need another revision on Body More Zero in order to get it to where I want it to be. The way that I structure my writing is my first draft is really just figuring out like where the story is going, because I work in segments of what does my character need, what is the first major event that is going to happen, what follows after that, and I kind of have an act structure where the mega events cause the next act to happen and then move the things forward. And so I don't necessarily know how a story is going to end until I get there, or I know sort of a variation of how it's going to end, but I don't know what happens to lead up to that until I get to that point. This is my character. I know, I'm sorry if I'm bouncing around. I'm trying to describe some of the characters while you guys have heard enough about other ones. This is my character, Jarek Cummings, from a story that I have with Sam. I think we were tentatively calling it I Guess I'll Just Die Then, because Sam's character in this story is named Seth Graves, and he's a character that blew his own head off when he was a teenager. And so now he's got the blue eye where the bullet went through, but he died. And then he miraculously came back to life. And now every time that he kills himself, because he starts having panic attacks and then kills himself because he gets things back, he has amnesia. And so then as the information starts coming back, I know I'm all over the place with describing these characters, but as the information starts coming back, the memories start coming back to Seth, he overwhelms and then ends up killing himself. And the people who knew him when he was alive that time forget him. And then he meets Jarek. I think they first meet in jail because Jarek is in the drunk tank, and Seth got into it with somebody fighting him over a hot dog that he purchased, bumped shoulders, dropped the hot dog. Seth was not having it, punched that guy's face, and got arrested. Seth is a prostitute. He was abused as a child, became a prostitute, ran away from home after he killed his mother at 17 because she tried to choke him out, and he just lost it, cut her up into pieces, buried her body, and ran away and has not looked back since. Yeah, right. A very, very happy story. And their story intertwines where they kind of help each other heal from the trauma that they've been through, because neither of them have been obviously open about what's happened to them or who they are, and they end up in this situation where Jarek keeps running into Seth and remembering him even after he kills himself. Okay, I am so excited to talk about this one. I was playing Yakuza 0 and streaming it with just Monty so that we could just talk on the phone while I was playing and just hanging out overall, just chatting. And I was beating the Leisure King for the real estate mogul sub-stories. And the real estate, not the real estate. And the Leisure King wears that red shirt and those leopard pants. And I was like, bruh, I need to draw Katsuo in this. And Monty was like, and so then I thought about what I could put Kaede in that would also match this style. What would Katsuo put Kaede in other than a purple shirt and zebra pants? So then that's what happened. The next day, since I had been playing this video game late, I remember drawing these on Saturday morning when I probably should have been doing other things. And then I expanded it to also draw the girls. So you'll see the girls in 80s attire, because obviously you can't have these two finely dressed, wonderful men and not have their ladies dressed up to complement their looks. But from this moment forward, Katsuo has just embraced dressing in this outfit. So you'll see going forward, I never knew what to dress him in. What would be his look outside of the cabaret, because obviously he's wearing a tuxedo in the cabaret. Well, when Katsuo is just being Katsuo, he is apparently wearing the leisure suit. He will also wear the red shirt with black pants at times instead of the white shirt with his tuxedo. But Katsuo really took to those leopard pants. It is not even funny how chill he feels in them. That was me trying to do tinsel. And then we got Michi, which she She loves her glitter sequin outfits. She's so sweet. There is a reason you put her and Katsuo together and you know that you're gonna get trouble, because Katsuo will test boundaries and Michi is just supportive and high energy herself. So it'll be like, yeah. But so I have fond memories drawing this specifically because it was drawn after just talking to Monty, spending time with Monty, and I mean, I love these characters so much. And then it spawned Katsuo's regular outfit, and I don't know why. It fits, but that outfit works so well for him. It doesn't matter that it's modern day. He's gonna dress like he's a freaking 80s leisure suit man. Anyway, what was I talking about before this? There was Jarek, and then there was, which, yes, the names were definitely created ironically, with choosing Cummings and Graves, because that's just how we roll. I think I was going back to, like, making sure that your work schedule and how you produce works for you, because I know a lot of people that cannot and do not like to do word count goals, but they work for me. And my word count goals aren't specific for projects to say, like, this book has to be this many words. I kind of guesstimate how long I think a book is going to be, and then if it surpasses that, they often surpass, because I usually shoot lower what I think it's going to be, and then I write over that. But my goals are just like how many words I have to write that day. And if there aren't that many words left in the book, then it's just getting to the end of the book. But the word count of how much I have to edit helps me make sure that I've got a logistical, measurable amount that I have to get through in order to get to the end of the book, because it makes sure that I have a reachable goal that I can look at. I can know when I'm done for the day, so I can feel like I'm actually accomplishing things. And if I continuously do it, then I'll see that I have something at the end. This was obviously a picture of Katsuo that I didn't show anybody because I wasn't very happy with the composition of it, with the way that it looked. His face continually looked weird from the way that his hand was covering. And I did like that he had the fishy necklace in his hand. I liked the editorialness of this image, but I just I didn't want to share that one. And then he's got the nails because he's kind of got his half androgynous thing going on where he does drag, but he's not really androgynous. Anyway, that was half of what I drew. In quarter two. So that was April through half of May. In a couple of weeks, I'll come back with the second half of quarter two, and I'll try to make it a little bit tighter, because I don't think I have quite as much to say, but maybe I do, because we're going to get into the Westies characters then. So be ready for the Westies characters if you're ready to meet the Red Dead Redemption characters that will be a part, well, they're inspired by the Red Dead Redemption, but they're not in Red Dead Redemption. And then they will be part of Numina, possibly, with the prequel. And it's just going to be kind of interconnected world where you're going to see some of the same mysticalness play through, but they're totally on their own. And we are just discovering those because these characters are only about 3 weeks old, and it has been a pleasure to meet them. And I can't wait to introduce them to you as well. And we've got Daisy Mercer, Ambrose Bierce, which both belong to Monty. There is Thomas Cassidy. I'm hoping. I know that she mentioned a different last name for Thomas, but he is adopted by Bill Cassidy, who was a legendary outlaw and the father of Annabelle and Ike Cassidy. Tommy Cassidy was adopted before the twins were born, always treated like a blood brother. And this is what I mean by writing stories about love, is there is so much love in both Yakuza and the Westies for family. It's a story about family and expanding family and getting through these hardships with the support of the family. And that's what I really love and can't really put into words what these characters have. That is just so special for me to look at, that I'm so excited to develop and to formally write and be able to share with you guys, that at the moment all I can do is talk about them and like show you the images of them as I draw them obsessively. but there is so much love behind these stories. And I don't know about you, but between reading all of these ALA books and then like seeing all of the doom and gloom everywhere, is people are so obsessed or stuck in misery and sadness and depression, and this idea that everything is only going to get worse, because generally a lot of stuff sucks, and generally everything does suck right now. Like I said, I was in a really bad place in May. And I go in and out of bad places. I did not sleep well last night because I was in a bad place. But there's so much love in these characters, and it's something that I'm really excited to share. In the same way that I'm very excited to share Bodymore 3 to complete the storyline that is being told there, which is a story of love. It's not just Jag's love for Joey. It's Joey being able to understand that love and see that love for Jag and give her love back to Jag, and to heal from what happened to her with her father, and to see the love between Casey and Ralph, and the love that just Ralph has for everybody unconditionally because of who he is and just how he is. And that is one of the reasons I'm so excited to share Bodymore 3, but I'm also preparing myself to not really get any response to Bodymore 3 in the same way there wasn't much of a response to number 2. And I was so excited for number 2. I felt so good about number 2, but you know, I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you look forward to getting to know my characters as well. Oh, the rest of the Westies characters, because we got Ambrose Bierce, who is a school teacher who gets pulled in with these outlaws accidentally. Daisy Mercer, who gets rescued by these outlaws from a terrible situation, possibly cultish. Tommy Cassidy, who is the brother to Ike and Annabelle Cassidy, who are twins, and the children of Bill Cassidy, or William Cassidy, famous outlaw. And then you've got Marcella Bailey, who was just brought into the fold a couple of days ago to give Tommy somebody's heart. And then Marcella Bailey, who is the daughter of a gun dealer and manufacturer, and she gets involved with Tommy. We're still figuring it all out, though, so if you want to watch us kind of talk about it, hang out, there's the gaming night where we're playing Red Dead, and then there's just hanging out to see how it goes, because you will 100% definitely hear about it here, and come back in a couple of months when we're going through what I created in July, and you will see pictures of Marcella as well as some of these other characters as I draw them more. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing my progress, seeing what I've drawn. I hope you're just as excited for my characters. You know, I know it only sucks because I actually have books out and I don't draw the characters in the books that are available because I'm so obsessed with these characters. The brain rot is real. That's why we're going to try to get the Westies to actually be composite, especially because it relates to Numina. So, like, why not? Because you got Bodymore going into Numina and then the Westies. So, we'll see. With that said, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and don't die.
Was that Wayland Cross in the trunk? Do you know, or is that something that's still being figured out?
The person in the trunk was not Wayland Cross.
Is he in trouble?
We don't know who did it, but as the owner of the car, the longer he's missing, the worse it looks for him.
Cross isn't a killer. For the last couple of years, the average number of murders in Baltimore has been over 300, and it's been going up. Mind you, that's only whatever the badges count as official murder, and believe me, there are people that don't count when they die. Wayland? If you're down here, tell me. I'm not talking to the badges, I've been looking for you. They found a body in your trunk. Why? Did you do that? To the left, plain black letters read along the wall. You walked in the corridor. Once that ends, you chose the dark is on the right. My vision goes blurry. Flickers black and black and black for longer intervals until I can't see anything at all. I'm not screaming anymore, but my voice echoes back to me. Where the hell am I? You're dead, Josephine. Even smart people do stupid shit sometimes, right?